For some of you, last couple of weeks, what I've been going through is I lost my father and my dad, who is an integral part of my life. And so it's been a huge blessing and a huge light, just to feel your all's presence and love. And I appreciate that. I think it's so important, not because of me. I think it's so important for us to realize the impact that we can have on other people's lives, especially during a time like we're all going through today. And everyone has a fight, everyone has different things that happen. And I had a lot of learning lessons, a lot of reflection, obviously, over the last 2 weeks. And some of those things I'm still going through. But I think the most important thing is my dad would want me to do is keep pressing on, right? And so I wanted to, I think, first and foremost, just tell everyone thank you guys for all the love, all the encouragement, and just sharing with me from your heart. And I will say this, the thing as well as I got a ton of messages that meant the world to me, saying, hey, we're going to step up to a whole nother level. Watch this, watch the smoke we create. And the last 14 days have been incredible. It was texts like that that really encouraged me to say, you know what, it's none of us are alone in this journey. And I think that's so important, because during this time, a lot of us can maybe feel alone. And I think that, it's a great opportunity for all of us to remember that there's strength in numbers. And, I would attribute who I am to my upbringing, to my foundation, to my mom, to my dad. And I know that that's an exception to the rule. I know not everyone has that exception of an incredible foundation of people pouring into them, saying, hey, look, you can do it. You can be anything that you want to be, always dream, and you have the support to do it. And it took me a while to learn that that was the exception, not the rule. I've said this on stage a lot. I've shared with many people, a defining moment that I had. It was probably 45 to 75 people. If I wanted to exaggerate the story, I would tell you all there was 2,000 people in the audience, but it was back in the late 90s, like 1997. And I remember getting up in front of an audience in a room and talking about success and what it meant to win and what it meant to believe in yourself. And I was going through the motions. I didn't realize the power that words can have on people, right? And afterwards, someone came up to me, and it was a girl, and she looked at me and she said, can I talk to you for a minute? And I could tell she was upset. She had tears in her eyes, and I kind of felt the heaviness. And so I walked over to the side, and she said, I've never had anyone speak to me like that before. And I remember, just thinking, I didn't know, I just remember thinking to myself, what is happening? Like, I just felt this huge weight. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I've not been told anything, but I'd never amount to anything my whole life. I never had any support. I had my dad that was a raging alcoholic, and my mom that was the same way. And all they did was diminish her. And I remember that night I was supposed to go out, and instead of going out, I just went to my room because I felt that bad. And that was a defining moment to realize that we have the ability to do so much more than just make money. And, that came from, really a foundation that I think that all of us right now at this time in life and this time in the world, we're the exceptions to the rule, right? The average person in the world makes less than $2 a day. And, I said this to someone earlier tonight. Today I was just talking about kind of my dad's experience growing up. And, when he grew up, he didn't have anything. His, mom had him when he was 16. Their family was really rough. They were from Russellville, Kentucky, during the Prohibition years. And he never saw his dad. Later, he found out that, his mother's father told him if he showed up, he would kill him. And legitimately, that's probably what he would have done. And so he lived with his grandparents. He didn't live with his half brothers or sisters. And his grandparents were good people, but tough people, hard. His little brother was at the funeral and said, your dad took some massive beatings, and he just never had anyone believe in him. But there was two different school teachers, Miss Piper and Coach Hunter, that did believe in him. He said, I would probably be in jail if I didn't have someone that believed in me. And he said he knew that they believed in him because of how tough they were on him, but they let him know that they cared about him. And that's all he needed to, create pride for himself. And later in life, what he did was he dumped into his kids. Like, the most important thing on earth was his children. And, still to this day, I can tell you that, we were fortunate. We were very blessed. And, hopefully we can give that back in some way. And I think that, this week I had a realization, just so many people hit me from my dad's past, or my dad's first career came from being a CPA. And I'm telling you all the story to give you a little bit of background. Is his first career was to prove all the haters wrong. He literally was told he'd never graduate high school. No one in his family ever graduated high school or college. He did both. He only made below 100% on a CPA exam one time, or an accounting test. And so his first career, he thought he needed to be a professional, and he became an accountant for 25 years. He grew the biggest solely owned or wholly owned CPA firm in the state of Kentucky at a time where you couldn't go out and solicit business, right? But it was because of his personality, because of his passion. And that was important to him, to be seen as a professional, because of how many people told him he couldn't do it, right? And then, he sold his business, and his second career evolved because of my involvement in athletics. We started a basketball camp, and that became his pride for the last 20 years. And I can tell you, the last 20 years, he was so happy and full of joy that his second career, I know, meant more to him than being that CPA meant something to him from a standpoint of, I can do it, right? I can prove everyone wrong. But the second career was so impactful because, as I saw, he found so much passion in the ability to contribute to other people. And there's hundreds and hundreds of people that have educations and athletes, youth athletes, that he helped, get college scholarships for. And I think that that's important to understand, because he wasn't in it for the money. And me and the individual that gave the eulogy at his funeral was one of his really, close friends, started off as a basketball coach for us at the camps. And he said, so many people have tried to replicate what your dad has done with the Blue Chip All-Stars. He said, but they just can't do it. And we were at the gravesite, and I said, you know why they couldn't? Because you can't fake genuine caring for other people. And I said, he genuinely cared. That's why Blue Chip had the culture that it had, with so many players and so many players coming back and giving back. He genuinely cared about the kids. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the profession. And I look back on right now, I look at the game of basketball, and it's changed so much. And there's so many people trying to get their hands in the coffers and the money. And the reason that I'm saying that is I think it's so synonymous to what we're doing as a company, as a community, that I'm so proud of, is we all have the ability to be an impact on other people's lives, and to show them the way, and to give them encouragement, and to give them love. And one of the things that's been consistent in my ear through some of my sadness and some of my hurt is hearing individuals say, you know what? Your dad loved you. Your dad loved you and your sister. You were his pride and joys. And he used to always call me his pride and joy. And I just thought how powerful that is, and how many people need to hear that they have love and they have support. And so I just want to encourage you all to continue to lead with your heart. Great things are going to happen. I truly believe that. And my sister made me this book, and it just has like a lot of like letters that he wrote me, and different things at different times. And it's pretty amazing when I went through this, and then I went through some of my old letters to him. And here's what I want you all to think about. There's a point in time where everyone needs to be led. We all need to remember the power of ourselves. And as I read through some of the cards that I wrote him, my dad went through a really rough time, through my mom and dad's divorce, and through the transition of him selling his firm, and some things happened in his life that he was going through some struggles. And I didn't realize, like in 2000, 2001, 2002, I was writing him back his own words, saying, Dad, remember when you told me that, I just wanted to share this thought with you, is focus on the things that you want a lot, focus on all the positive things. Remember, we get 100% of the things that we focus on. And I was repeating back to him what he's told me his whole life. And it's kind of funny how everything comes full circle sometimes in life. So remember that as you guys are moving forward and you all are leading other people and leading yourselves, is none of us should ever be too proud to be led.